Uh, the first time I changed my way of doing the traditional solution-focused brief therapy was after a session with a father and a daughter, and they did not let me ask any question of our repertoire, of our toolbox. All the questions and all the answers were provided by them. And it was a single session therapy, and the session lasted less than 10 minutes. And all the questions and all the answers were there. This is actually the highway to solutions. And this is something that really surprises them. They have never expected the therapist to give them the opportunity, the right to ask the questions. They usually expect that we do this for them.
So what was some of the questions that the girl and the father wanted you to ask them?
Oh, they started with the why. Yes, I can tell you about this story. The girl was vomiting every day in her second school lesson in the second hour. And I tried to ask something about exceptions or what the girl is best at. She was 7 years of age at that time. But the father said, no, no, no. We must have an answer to the question why. So he did not let me any other possibility. And I had nothing else to do but ask, okay, why does this happen? What do you think? And he said, my daughter has never been punished physically. And this teacher in writing had her massive golden ring hitting my daughter on the head or something. And so it's a kind of protest reaction. So we had an explanation, we had somebody to be blamed for this, but we didn't have a solution. And I went on with their own question. What does the teacher think? And he said, well, she thinks that my wife is giving antibiotics on necessary and unnecessary occasions to the child. So it's kind of biochemical side reaction on the drugs. What does your wife think? Because again, we don't have a solution. He said, oh, she's sure that my father and mother are to blame, the grandparents, because we were out of town for a week or 10 days, and when we came back, the problem was already there. So it's kind of mystical. We don't know what the grandparents did, but obviously they did something bad for a child. And then, what do your parents think about this? And he said, well, they are sure that my wife is giving inappropriate food to the child. So the circle was closed, and there was nobody else to ask but the little girl. And they asked her, what do you think? And I remember that they were both kind of very surprised that such a little girl can answer such a difficult question. And then she thought for quite some time, and she said, well, I guess that the first time it happened by chance. And then the father asked the next question, how about the other times after that? And she said, well, it must have become a habit of mine. And he asked a very solution-focused question. So what are we going to do about it? And she said, well, if my mother doesn't give me breakfast for 1 week, I shall have nothing to vomit and the habit will go away. So I asked the father for the first time I was able to say something. Will your wife agree to this proposal? I give you my word that nothing bad will happen to your daughter if she doesn't have breakfast for 1 week. She will have all her other meals. She will not die of hunger. She will not get ill. Nothing bad. And he said something very interesting. Yes, she will agree if you say so. And I said, okay, I say so. And then they disappeared, and I happened to meet him in a shop 3 months later. And he said, "Oh, sorry we didn't call, but there was no need because after 3 days without breakfast, my daughter said, 'Mommy, I want to have my breakfast now.' So it didn't take a whole week, only 3 days. And then because this was very, very strange case, I wanted to discuss this with a philosopher, teacher in philosophy at the New Bulgarian University here. He was not very listening to me, but his brother said, exactly the same happened to us. And I said, what do you mean? How come the same? And he said, when my daughter was at the age of 4, she did not sleep one night. We never knew why. And then it became a habit of the whole family not to sleep for 3 years. We tried many different kinds of therapies, but nothing helped. And then one night she fell asleep, and now we have a different habit. We all sleep well. So he said everything, in a way, can be explained in this extremely simple way. All problems and all solutions happen, and if they are repeated, they become habitual. And this is how things started to change. I became very, very interested in the client's own questions and in the client's own answers to these questions. And it turned out that quite often I don't need to use the tools that I learned from Insu and Steve. But if clients say, I don't know, it is none of my business to ask the questions, I know what to do. In a way, they give me the right, they give me the power back to ask questions. So doing traditional solution-focused brief therapy becomes much more powerful because the clients have personally given me this possibility. They want me to ask them the questions. So it becomes almost impossible for them not to answer. And I think this is a change from the death of resistance that you said, Steve, declared many years ago, to the birth of assistance. It has become much more collaborative in whatever we talk about.